Welcome back, everybody! Today we are going to watch why does the US have 800 military bases around the world? I would say because they want to spread democracy. Yeah? 4 million people were asking themselves the same question. Let's find out the answer.
Early in the history of warfare, man learned that the best formula for victory was compounded of striking power, mobility, and
shit.
self-protection.
The US is easily the most powerful country to have ever existed, and it certainly spends
Johnny.
more on its military budget than any other country does today. That's all pretty well known. But less well known is the fact that the US has around 800 military bases around the globe. This map can't even show that many dots. These are just 200 or so dots to give you an idea
That's
of where
so
these bases
many.
are clustered. These bases are everything from massive military compounds to small airstrips in the middle of the ocean. If you combined all the foreign bases that every other nation has outside of its own borders, you get a
What?
total of about 30. There's never been a country with such a massive
30?
global presence. And the big question is, how did these bases get there in the first place? And how much is it costing US taxpayers to keep them open? Most of these bases cropped up after World War II, when the US set up in places like Germany and Japan to help
Yeah,
maintain peace.
you guess
after
how
an
many
era-
soldiers are still stationed in Germany? About 35,000 US soldiers are still in Germany. And we pay for them, not they pay for them.
of intense global war.
But we cannot expect these people to discard Nazi ideas with the casual air with which they abandon their uniforms. Slowly, steadily, they must be taught the fundamentals of democracy. Our task is to supervise this training in democracy.
Told you it's
Even though
about
these countries are now
democracy.
stable, robust democracies and allies, the US still has 50,000 troops in Japan and 54,000 in Germany.
54,000. I mean, this video is a couple of years old. I don't want to tell you something wrong, so let's see how many it is. How many troops USA in Germany? As of February 2020, there are estimated to be approximately 35,000. Almost, I am correct. What am I telling you? Let's keep going.
The Korean War brought an influx of American infrastructure into the Korean Peninsula, where we now have 28,500 troops stationed. The Cold War made the US expansion to every corner of the globe imperative to US strategic goals.
Here in Russia, you see the reason why we are spending billions of dollars in defense production.
Can't see.
Why your family is paying the highest taxes in our history.
But even now that the Cold War is over, there's not a place on Earth that's not still covered by US military influence. This includes everything from naval compounds like those in Guantanamo Bay, to small drone bases like those in the Horn of Africa, to little-known posts in the middle of the Indian Ocean like that of Diego Garcia. And it's not cheap. Keeping US foreign bases open costs taxpayers between 70 and 100 billion dollars per year.
100 billion.
That's more than any other government agency receives in taxpayer money, besides, of course, the Department of Defense itself. Taxpayers pay between $10,000 and $40,000 more per soldier stationed abroad than they do for those stationed here domestically. But this
Why?
cost
They go on holiday on the beach in Guam and they get 40K more per year? That's not fair. They should get less.
seems to be worth it to most lawmakers. The idea that US military leadership provides an indispensable stability to the globe is now a fixture of our global strategy and our foreign policy.
In an uncertain world, full of breathtaking change, the one constant is American leadership.
You can't have stability
Not
without
much
American
longer.
leadership. There's only one nation in the
China is
world
catching
capable of
up.
rallying the freedom-loving people of this planet to confront evil.
Confront
American
evil.
leadership is not just respected,
Says
it is
America.
required.
So over the past 70 years, the US has set up bases all over the world in response to threats, and then they just never left. These 800 bases around the world represent a massive system of military power that isn't often talked about. And it's us, the American taxpayers, that are financially supporting this. we have all decided that it's worth it to pump $100 billion out of our economy to keep these bases open on the far corners of our globe.
That's actually only partially true, that it all comes from the taxpayers' money from the United States. Because I've been to Japan a few weeks ago, and I was reading an article about how the US troops are funded in Japan and who is paying for the costs them being there. I mean, the salary for the soldiers in Japan is paid from the United States. But all the other costs coming with the stay of the US soldiers in Japan, like accommodation, security for the buildings, water, electricity, etc., is apparently paid by Japan. So Japan has an expense of like $500 million per year for having American soldiers over there. It's a huge number, 800 military bases. I'm not even sure how many military bases they have in Germany. I would estimate it would be like a dozen. Let's see how many. There's 21 military bases. That's more than Bundesländer here, like federal states. There's at least one military base per federal state in Germany. That's a lot. Now I wonder how many military bases Germany has in Germany. Okay guys, I think I found it. It took a while. I'm on the official army website of Germany, Bundeswehr.de, and it seems that we have about 873 or about 850 military bases in Germany. That's quite a lot. Can we look at them? Can we look inside? Kaserne. In Prenzlau. This is in Berlin. I didn't know there's a military base in Berlin. Well, even though the USA has 800 military bases around the world, their influence on the world is shrinking. China, Russia, India, they're all trying to topple the United States. I don't know how much longer they can keep it up. It's not gonna end well. And if shit's going down, I'm off to South America and say goodbye Europe. I'm out of here. I'm not gonna die in World War III. No way. I'm rather living in Machu Picchu or something, you know. What do you think? Will the United States go down with a bang or with should they keep those 800 military bases around the world? Is it helpful for the security of the world, or will they just make other countries enforce their own policies? Let me know what you think, and see you guys tomorrow.